One question you might be wondering this morning is what happens next following the Prime Minister's announcement. Let's speak with Hannah White, who's the Chief Executive of the Institutes of Government, about how an election campaign will unfold. And crucially, Hannah, what happens now to running the country?
Well, Parliament has to finish off its business is the first thing that has to happen. And anything that's going on in government which needs to get done before all the MPs cease to become MPs and head off to campaign needs to get done very quickly. There are 16 government bills still in Parliament and the parties will have to decide what happens to them. Then next week, as Rishi Sunak told us yesterday, the King has agreed to dissolve Parliament. That happens on Thursday. And then we'll have 25 working days, 35 actual days of campaigning. And then we come to the election on the 4th of July.
So there are some bills that decisions will have to be made on in the week ahead?
Yes, that's right. So there are bills at different stages going through the House. The government will want as many of those as possible to get onto the statute book. They include the Prime Minister's tobacco and vapes bill, his bill which is designed to create a smoke-free generation. They include a victims bill, which will give effect to the compensation scheme for the infected blood scandal. So there are important pieces of legislation, but they will have to do deals with the opposition parties because some bills are controversial. There's a data protection bill, which has some controversial provisions in it about data collection during elections. And so the parties will be deciding between them which of those gets rushed onto the statute book.
Because there will be people watching. This time yesterday, the big stories we were talking about was the Post Office Horizon scandal, the infected blood scandal. Lots of our audience will be worrying that either legislation around that will be rushed, important compensation schemes will be rushed, or worse still, kicked into the long grass. Should they be reassured?
Well, I think there seems to be cross-party agreement around the infected blood scandal compensation scheme. I'd anticipate that a deal will be done to make sure that that goes forward. There was a lot of agreement on that in the House of Commons earlier this week. Of course, the public inquiries that are underway will continue to be underway. We won't see any parliamentary committees sitting. The House of Lords continues to exist. Members of the House of Lords stay as members, but they won't do any business during this short campaign. But those processes will resume after an election.
OK. What do you make of the timing then? Politics aside about whether it's the right time for the Conservatives to call an election, why might he have wanted to have got this done quickly?
Well, generally speaking, politicians prefer to campaign in the summer. There was a lot of talk about whether a winter election would be a good thing. We haven't seen a July election since 1945, though. May or June are much more common. And it does mean that a new government coming in, whether that's led by Rishi Sunak or by Keir Starmer, will have to make decisions about what Parliament's going to do over the summer. Are they going to come back and then immediately break again for the summer, or are they going to put their nose to the grindstone and get going with things?
So a very, very busy week ahead in Westminster, and that's before campaigning even properly begins. Hannah White from the Institute for Government, thank you very much for your time.